guys have shared the spotlight together for Rhinelander for 4 years, and it's kind of nice to see him do the same thing here tonight. So, what an honor to coach these two gentlemen at the same time. What you see right here are the fastest two swimmers in the history of Rhinelander High School. And they swim side by side for 4 years, probably a little more than that in swim club as well. And literally shared things together, so it's kind of neat to be able to see them do this again tonight. We appreciate both of you guys coming here tonight. They had long trips flying in from New England and also from Colorado, so we really appreciate you guys making the trip and being here with us. As I scan through the old yearbooks, it's kind of fun to dig them out and look through the results and the names and the times and the places and awards that they received. It's fun to do that. And I kind of compiled a list of some of their accomplishments, and I tried to keep it short and just do some of the major awards and things that they earned, and I still ended up with about 3 pages apiece. So please bear with me here. The interesting thing about these two gentlemen is they both came in with kind of at different spots in their career. Alan had swum with swim club and been quite a distinguished swimmer as an age group swimmer coming up through our program. Even swam with the high school team so he could get a little better workout as an 8th grader, and then came in as a freshman, fit right into the team. And his career took off from there with great things. As you noticed by the plaque that was brought in his freshman year, his name is on the school record for the 400 freestyle relay as a freshman, so that kind of shows you how things started off for Alan. He also qualified his freshman year, earned a letter, by the way, which is very rare for freshmen in our program. We have some pretty stringent time standards for them to meet in order to letter, and he's one of the few in the program that lettered as a freshman. And also in doing that, qualified for state in 3 events. So as the individual event in the 100 backstroke, and also as a part of our 200-yard medley relay and our 400-yard freestyle relay, which, as you can see, broke the school record as a freshman. And things got better and faster from there. As a sophomore, lettered in 8 individual events, so, and it set a new standard for the number of events that he earned his letter time in. At the conference meet, won first place as a sophomore in 3 events, the 200 medley relay, the 200 freestyle, 100 backstroke, and was 3rd in the 400 freestyle relay as a sophomore. At the sectional meet, he earned first place in the 200-yard freestyle as a sophomore, 2 seconds in the 100 free and the 400 free, and was a part of the medley relay that took 3rd that year at the sectionals. In all 4 events, they qualified for state, so as a sophomore, he was a 4-time state qualifier. And at that time, through these gentlemen's freshman and sophomore year, there was just 1 division in state. And all the teams in the state combined, and they only took a certain limited number of entries, so it was quite an accomplishment for them to do that, to make it through the state. And he finished that year in the 200 freestyle, was 7th in her all-state honors as a sophomore. Also earned 7th in the 100-yard freestyle and earned all-state honorable mention. Their 200 freestyle relay placed 8th and also met the time standard for all-state honorable mention, and was also in the freestyle relay, because you see that earned 11th place in the state. So most of us would be very happy with that as seniors finishing their career, and that was their sophomore year. Yeah, I need it. In doing so, he set new school records in the 200 freestyle, the 100 backstroke, and the 200 freestyle relay, and a new conference record in the 200 free. He was one of our team leaders, and as a team, we ended up 2nd in the conference that year, 3rd in the sectional meet, and 10th in state. And was also, as a sophomore, was chosen as the team's most valuable swimmer as a sophomore. As a junior, the process continued. So at conference, 4 first places, 200 medley relay, 50 free, 100 back, 400 free relay, all first places. Sectional meet, he let us down a little bit. He got 1 second, and the rest were first places at the sectional meet. And then went on to state, and again kept the trend up. Managed 2 state championships as a junior. In the 200 medley relay and the 50 freestyle, finished 3rd in the 100 free, 4th in the 400 freestyle. Earned all state honors in all 4 events, and established a state record in the 200 medley relay, and also in the 50 freestyle. And and was chosen again as the most valuable swimmer and as the team captain his junior year. On the page. Okay, and then as a senior, conference meet, 4 first places, sectional meet, 4 first places, state championship, 1 second place, the rest first place finishes. He was conference champions 3 times his senior year and a second place in 1 individual event. All state honors in all 4 events, state records established in the 200 and 400 freestyle relays, and set school records, which all but 1 still stand today on record board. He was part of the, he has a 200 freestyle record, which he shattered by 4 seconds his senior year. 50 freestyle, dropped a half a second from that event. 100 butterflies, still has the school record there, as well as the 100 freestyle. And both of these gentlemen combined to be part of the 200 freestyle and 400 freestyle relay records. Ended up earning All-American status in the 50 freestyle, and consideration in both the 200 free and the 100 freestyle. And one of the things that's probably most amazing, or as equally amazing, is earned academic All-American at the same time. So through all the training he took to reach that, he was still able to maintain his grades. And I don't remember the grade point average, but I remember filling out both of their slips to applications for that process and seeing 4 point somethings on both of them. Yeah. During that process. And of course, that year was also named most valuable and most dedicated on the team. He then received a scholarship from the University of Kansas. Went on and competed in the sprint events and competed in his team's relay events, the freestyle relays. Got to compete against, unfortunately for him, but kind of a neat experience against most of our Olympic team because they swim in Texas on a regular basis. Got to face our Olympic competition there. And also they recognized his team leadership and elected him as their team captain in both the junior and senior years. So quite the accomplishment for a college team. Continued on in Kansas in their graduate program then in physical therapy and worked as assistant coach after his 4th year of swimming. Got married to his wife Tricia, who was also a volleyball athlete at Kansas at the time, so and athletics. And, oh, I'm sorry. They have 3 sons. Ended up working in physical therapy clinic in Lawrence, Kansas after graduation. And since then has moved to Denver and now is employed by Kaiser Medical. He ended up managing their physical therapy clinic very shortly after joining them, where they evidently saw his leadership skills and went on and sent him up back for an MBA degree so he could become their manager of their clinic. And since then added another clinic to his repertoire or his duties, and now he's a part of their nationwide program for service call services, and I understand kind of troubleshot that system and got it back up and running for them nationwide. So obviously they appreciate his skill and his leadership skills there as well. Now he's busy enjoying life, coaching his son's baseball team. His wife, they take turns coaching. His wife coaches the high school volleyball team in town. And right now is preparing this fall somehow. I don't know how exactly he's going to do it with 3 boys, but preparing to train for a Ironman triathlon this summer. So still active, busy, and obviously has the itch to compete again. That or it's a way to get away from 3 boys, I think. Justin started out with a little less experience as he came in to the high school. As he just kind of mentioned, reminded me, just hadn't quite grown to his body yet. You know, he had I think grew probably 6 inches between his freshman year and his sophomore year. And didn't have quite as much swimming experience, but came in right away and filled in as a varsity swimmer as a freshman and was our distance specialist. In fact, both of these guys swam distance events, which seems kind of funny because they both ended up being our top 2 sprinters in the school history. So they do change as they get older. But specialized in the distance events and did a tremendous job moving up and placing himself higher and higher into our lineup for the varsity competition. As a sophomore, he really had a breakout season. Suddenly he started to fill out, grow into his size, and continued to work really hard, and good things all of a sudden really started to come on. Ended up lettering in 4 events that year. Ended the season as the finalist in the 200 individual medley, where he placed 6th for the team, 5th in the 100 freestyle, and was a conference champion in both the 200 and 400 freestyle relays. Was a sectional champion and state qualifier in both the 200 and 400, finished 8th and 11th again, and earned all-state honorable mention honors and broke the school record in the 200 freestyle relay. And again, the team finished 2nd in conference, 3rd in sectionals, 10th in state. As a junior, his coaches finally figured out that this kid was a really fast butterflyer. Until then, we had some butterflyers, and he's a good distance swimmer, so we never really tried him out. He swam the IM and did very well in it, but the butterfly in that event was the first leg of the IM, so we really never got to see what he could do with for speed. And all of a sudden, we tried it just for the heck of it, put him in the medley relay in the 50 butterfly leg of the medley relay, and all of a sudden, it's like the big piece of the puzzle just came together. We had the spot that we needed. We had a senior that graduated that had that position. We had a great medley relay. If we could just find that butterfly, and all of a sudden he stepped right in, and sort of the rest is history. And that medley relay suddenly took off as a result of that. The end of the season as a conference, a conference champion in the 200 medley relay, in the 200 individual medley, the 100 freestyle, and the 200 freestyle relay. Sectional meet, champion in the 200 medley and 200 freestyle relays, 3rd in the 53, and 2nd place to his teammate, over here behind me, in the 100 freestyle, where they went 1-2 in the sectional, which is almost unheard of in both, and he qualified for state in all 4 events as a junior. State meet, he finished 4th in the 100 freestyle, 2nd again in a 1-2 finish with a certain teammate in the 50 free, and earned all-state honorable mention. 3rd in the 200 freestyle relay, where they earned all-state honors, and as state champion, team and state record setter in the 200 medley relay, where they earned all-state. So his sudden conversion into a butterflyer brought 3 other people into state championships with that race. And of course, led the team to conference and sectional championships that year, in a 3rd place in the state. Senior year, continued the rapid improvement progress, if you can believe that, after that junior year. 4 first places in the conference meet. Sectional meet, and again, 3 first places and 1 second. Qualified for state in all 4 events. At the state meet, earned a 3rd place and all-state honorable mention in the 100 freestyle. 2nd place, runner-up, and all-state honors in the 50 freestyle. 2nd in the 200 medley relay, where they earned all-state honors as well. Who was a state champion in the 400 freestyle relay, where they earned all-state honors and set a new school and state record. Also, an academic All-American with grade point average of something astronomical. I can't remember what it was. Also set pool records in 200 freestyle relay, team and conference sectional championships in 3rd state that year. After graduation, then he went on to swim at Kenyon College, and even though he got a little bit later start in things, continued to really blossom in college. If you aren't familiar with Kenyon College, they are the perpetual national champions in Division III swimming. He graduated there magna cum laude with honors in chemistry and philosophy. Helped establish national records for consecutive national championships in all 4 of his years. So they went on and have done so until, I believe, last year or the year before, they were the perpetual national champions. So he was a part of those record-setting teams all 4 years. Established 2 national records as a college swimmer. 13 athletic All-American awards in college, and 4 academic All-American awards. And of course, I asked him, well, what about the individual finishes? He said, I've got a lot of copy of finishes. So I guess when you go to Kenyon, you don't count all the individual finishes. But
I just found them in a box.
You have to dig through and pull them out. Was also earned the Sean Kelly Team Leadership Award in 1997 and 1998. Earned the NCAA Postgraduate Award in 1998 and was chosen for the GE First Team All-American in 1998. Then after graduation, again, success continued, but in a little bit different line. Swam in age group programs for the New York Athletic Club and the Asphalt Green Athletic Club, while starting his career and going back to grad school as part of that. In 1999, married his wife Kate. They now have 3 daughters. So we're trying to get his 3 sons. Get them introduced to each other and get them to move back to Rhinelander. I think we'll have good athletics for years to come. So you're going to have to help me out with that. In 1999 then through 2000, went on to medical school at Cornell University. Did his residency in orthopedic surgery in North Shore University in Long Island from 2003 to 2008. And now also did a fellowship for research at the New England Baptist Hospital and is specializing in joint replacement right now. And right now he's currently in private practice in New London, Connecticut, specializing in joint replacement surgery. And back swimming with the Masters team. So again, we just can't keep these guys away from the competition. So, 2 extremely distinguished careers. Through all this, the one thing that keeps coming back to me is how blessed I really was as a coach to have not just the top swimmer in the history of Rhinelander High School swimming, but having both of them on the team at the same time. They definitely elevated the program and everybody around them. So it was really amazing to watch and to see these guys just every year just keep getting faster and getting better. And both these guys, not just in swimming ability, but their intelligence. I mean, they're extremely smart, obviously, from their academic all awards and they brought that to swimming. They understood what needed to be done to get better, what the team had to do. If they were best events, suddenly they were swimming something different. They understood it. They figured out why the young kids have to get some experience in this meet or that meet. They need to step down and maybe take a back seat to them, even though they're the top swimmers on the team. They recognized that. They were team players all the way. And that certainly makes coaching a lot of fun. What I would do, in fact, in the lineups is put their names in last. I would sit down and figure out who had to go against who to try and beat this team or that team. And the last 2 names I still had in the lineup were these 2 because I know they could fill in the gaps and get the wins in whatever event we needed. So it was really kind of a fun problem to have, is trying to figure out where to swim into. Hard part was they were both fast in events, and not having to compete against each other, but compete against the other teams. In coaching, one of the most difficult things that I had to do was to turn their coaching, really, their training over to my assistant coach, which surprised a lot of people that I would do that, and it was a very difficult decision. But they were getting to the point, as they came up through the program, that they were obviously very talented swimmers and going to go really far in their events. I would have loved to have been able to focus on preparing both of those 2 swimmers, or both of these 2 swimmers for their events. But we had a team with lots of young swimmers and needed a lot of work, a lot of beginning stroke instruction, those kinds of things. And I also had an assistant coach who could focus in and did focus in on just preparing these guys, doing what it takes to get the program ready, get their individual training programs fine-tuned for them. So I would like to thank John Stein for doing that. And John was definitely probably a slave driver for these guys. They had to have a little metal, a little bit of steel to work out for John to do the workouts that he designed for them, because we knew it was going to be tough. And both these guys lived up to that in spades. They both did an excellent job. So I know that they were up to facing that kind of a challenge, and like you say, the rest is history. They ended up improving drastically and coming up with such fantastic times. But the one thing that I did want to point out is our team benefit, not just our scores in those events. These guys taught other swimmers how to balance tremendous workouts with their academics. No excuses for not being a star in the classroom as well as working hard in the pool. So they were able to balance that and show their teammates. Their teammates could look across the pool and see what it takes to become a state champion and see the kind of effort it took for these guys to keep on working and improving. We even went to the point where we were having other swimmers swim right next to them in the lane. We call it synchronized swimming. And as they take a stroke, their teammates can take a stroke with them so they can get the idea of what it would be like to swim next to a state champion, what kind of stroke you have to have, what the cadence, what the length of the strokes are. And pretty soon it started to rub off. These other swimmers started improving and taking off right along with them. So we weren't above making use of these guys every chance we could get to help their teammates. The other thing is they're tremendous leaders. They made their teammates all feel important on the team, whether they were the beginners or not. And as that happened, it's kind of exciting to see the top swimmers in the state standing at the end of the pool, cheering for the younger kids and spurring them on. And that happened every meet. So that was really, I think, a big plus for our team. And that certainly echoed through our program for the next, probably still does today. That caring about each other and the standards that they set just continued to kind of reverberate as the other swimmers picked up and definitely benefited from that. So I was certainly very blessed by having these two swimmers on my team. And I certainly know they deserve this award. So I appreciate the opportunity to present you two gentlemen with all of them.
I'm just going to take a few moments to thank some people. Last time I was at a banquet here at Hodag was my senior year, and it was our swimming banquet, and I flubbered like a baby. I'm hoping I'm not going to do that, but I just want to take a few minutes here. First and foremost, I just want to thank the Lord for just giving me my talents and my abilities, blessing me with growing up in such a great town, a great high school, having such a great support system and family. I want to thank the swim club, folks like the Netzers, who I don't see here tonight, but many families there for the hours of training and the memories I had through running our swim club. I want to thank the high school for allowing me to swim at RHS and keeping that alive and going, mostly thanks to the Hex and others who have refurbished the pool. I really took comfort in knowing people like Jim Gerke were over our school and taking care of our school. So thank you, Jim, for all your work. I want to thank all the teammates I've had. I've had the privilege to swim with over my 4 years at RHS. People like Justin, people like Joe Kluwer, Kevin Fees, Tom Krasinski, Lindsay Berkelot didn't swim day in and day out with their people like that pushed me to get better, and I wouldn't be here today without them. I want to thank all the exceptional swimmers who came before me, and just the tradition, the rich tradition that Rhinelander has in swimming. And especially just want to thank Dave Heck back there in the corner for mentoring me the last couple years in high school and really making me see the goals that I needed to achieve. He was just really guiding my team through that process, so thank you, Dave, for that. I want to thank my coaches, Dan, and Dan mentioned John Pease, for seeing the very best in me and having the ability to pull it out of me. I remember the first time I swam with high school team, I think it might have been 7th grade even, snuck in there, walked down from the junior high and got in the pool, and Dan made it real clear to me at that point what he expected out of me. He wasn't going to let me, get in the lane with the youngest guys and just kind of ease along. He wanted the best out of me, so thanks, Dan, for that. Finally, I want to thank my family. I wouldn't be here today without them. There's no way to thank them adequately for all the time and energy and effort they've invested in my career and in me. To my sisters, for all their encouraging words. It seems like yesterday we were standing on the floor of the UW natatorium. I was looking up, and lots of the faces here were up there, and the bleachers, but I remember your two faces up there cheering for me. So thanks for all the encouragement. To Mom for all your support and all the great food, especially the blueberry pancakes before swim meets. And also Mom for taking me aside after a 7th grade basketball game and telling me, this basketball thing, okay. I really like it swimming. But just your wisdom there, Mom, to do that. And And finally to my dad. Dad, thanks for all your support and countless hours of timing swim meets. Yeah, I really can't remember one when you weren't there in stopwatch. And Dad, your humble, selfless service to me and our family is a model that I pray I can live up to for mine too. It's an example that rings true to me now more than ever now that I have my own kids. So thank you. Thank you. I know there's lots of other folks that I have not mentioned tonight, trainers, friends, teammates, classmates, who played a part in my success. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to the selection committee. And I'm humbled and honored to be a member of the Hodag Hall of Fame. Thank you.
So I don't have a couple pages prepared yet. I'll just go based on his first page. Now, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my family, obviously, for getting my butt up at 5 in the morning. I don't have nearly the storied history at Rhinelander as Alan does. I did start out in 8th grade, and Mr. Pease, when he first asked me to jump in the pool to swim, I did the side stroke. So it was a fairly dramatic change in my understanding of what a swimmer was over the course of the next few years. But it was a very good one, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. So all I have to say is thank you to my parents, thank you to the members for inducting me into the Hall of Fame, and thank you for the members.
Thank you, Dan, and congratulations, Justin and Ellen. Our next inductee, I didn't know I was going to be the presenter, so I'm an ad lib. Anyway, Jeff Stein. Jeff, I got to tell a few stories about Jeff, but he was one tough hombre. Let me tell you that. I've been around football since 1969 here, and he was as tough as they ever came. I'll tell you how tough he was. When he was a sophomore, we went to Park Falls and we scrimmaged 4 teams. And in those days, we didn't just run 20 plays or whatever. We would do 4 and out, or keep going. In Park Falls, did 3 and punted. And then the assistant coach, David Greenwood, who happened to play at Park Falls, the University of Wisconsin, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, came over and he said, "Coach, could you do us a favor?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "Could you get that damn Stein kid out of here so we can run some plays?" Anyway, Jeff was a 3-time all-conference, both ways, offense, defensive tackle. He was a 2-year all-state defensive tackle. And I'm going to have Coach Macris come up here in a second. Coach Macris built this kid for me. I got to coach him, okay? So come on up here, Coach. While you're coming up here, I'll say a few other things. One of the coolest things in my memory of coaching football here in Rhinelander was Coach Dave McLean, who was the Badger coach when Jeff was a senior. And I got to go out. They let me out at lunch. They gave me an hour off. And I drove out to the airport and picked up Dave McLean. And he came to Rhinelander to sign Jeff. And as he came into the high school, he stopped in the cafeteria and all the kids were looking at him, and he signed autographs and he talked to the kids. And what a cool guy. And that was really cool for him to do that. And so anyway, I got Coach Macris here, and then we'll get Jeff up here.
I'd like to, first of all, thank the young lady behind the bar. I didn't know I was going to speak tonight. I just came for the entertainment. Give me this napkin to write a few notes down. I'll tell you a little bit about Jeff. I have 5 sisters, and I never had a brother. And the age difference wasn't that great, so I always thought of Jeff and think of him today as my younger brother. Okay. first time we met, it was the summer before his freshman year in high school. And I could see that Jeff had desire, determination, and had a work ethic, and just loved working out and being a part of football. So I sat him down one time and I said, listen, I said, if you listen to me, I said, this is what's going to happen. I said, when you're a sophomore, you're going to start on varsity. So when you're a junior, you're going to be starting offense, defense, you make all conference, maybe second team. When you're a senior, you're going to be all conference, first team, both ways. You're going to be all state. You're going to have 10 Division I scholarships. Well, he went home and told his two older brothers, and they beat him up. And that happened for a couple years. But then after that, things changed, and Jeff was taking care of business, and everything happened for Jeff. And it's because he worked and he listened and did the things he should have done. And I'm not going to kid you. He was built in the image modeled after Mike Webster, who was a good friend of mine. I think it was his junior year, halfway through the season, he broke his nose, and he had a little loss and have surgery. He was really, really upset because he thought it would hurt his chances for a scholarship in football, and that's what he really wanted. So I got on the phone, I called Webb, and I said, Webb, I said, I want you to give this kid a call. This is what happened. I said, he's really down in the dumps. He said, when you come back to Madison from Pittsburgh, you're probably going to recruit him for the Badgers. Mike was doing some recruiting for the Badgers, and I said, you want to talk to him. So about half hour later, I get a call from Jeff, and he said, guess who called me? Guess who called me? You know, Iron Mike, he called. I said, wow. I said, that's great. I said, does that make you feel good? You know, and he said, yeah, I don't feel as bad. I'm not depressed about it and that. You know, things will work out. He really helped me a lot. So that was his first introduction to meeting Mike. The next time, it was the summer before his senior year in high school. And he was at the Badger football camp. And every year, the Giacaminos and we, the Spartan Way and Jeds would have an annual powerlifting meet in the summertime. And Jeff was down at camp, and I get a phone call. He said, Bill, I keep calling him Jeff. I've always called him Wolfie. He became Wolfie his sophomore year in high school, and he grew that goatee he has now, and it was Wolfie. And Wolfie called and said, hey, Bill, he said, Badger coaches want me to stay here. He said, you're going to have a big picnic Saturday out on Lake Mendota. You've got the big Badger boat. There's going to be all Americans there, pros, blah, 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 blah. What should I do? What should I do? I said, this is what you're going to tell the coaches. I said, thank you. I'd love to be there, but I got to go back home and lift some weights. And I said, these guys, I think this kid's nuts. He's an animal. We have got to have him. We have got to have him, and that's what he did. He told him, you got to get back home. Thank you, but you had to go back and lift some weights. So he got the scholarship. He's just, you know, tremendous, tremendous football player. The last story, there's a lot of stories I can tell you all of them. But last story, we were at the state powerlifting meet his senior year, and there was a kid from Racine, and he was going to deadlift 600 pounds. And if he lifted that 600 pounds, he was going to beat Jeff. And he said, Bill, he said, went behind a bleacher. He said, Bill, he was doing 550. He said, Bill, hit me. He said, slap me. He said, slap me as hard as you ever just slapped anybody in your life. So, bang, I was a lot bigger and stronger back then. Bang, I hit him, I knocked him back, and he came at me. And I said, that's not supposed to work that way, Jeff. You get out there and lift the weight. He went out there and lifted the 550 very easily, got first place, and those are some stories I wanted to share with you. Just dedication, hard work, had vision, and did what he was supposed to. So, congratulations, Jeff.
Jeffrey also got second in the state in the shot put. He was a state champion of powerlifting. And first, before I even give the mic to him, I'm not going to say much because he's real shy. I'd like to introduce his family, Heidi, and his 4 children, and his mother-in-law, Liz. Stand up, please.
I just want to thank you for an incredible honor. I would generally say a lot more, but I gotta get those 4 kids to bed down in Madison, so thank you very much. Have a great evening.